Hey, what's up, Darcy? This is the long-awaited demo for your Ignition Saber company in Azzy's workshop, Ocularis. This is something I've been looking forward to doing for a long time because a lot of friends of mine were involved in this. First off, Azzy over at Azzy's workshop, who designed the hilt, and then my buddy TJ over at Ignition Saber company, who produced the hilt and then sold it and distributed it. And then lastly, my dude Tim over at Tierfon Orbital, who not only designed the eco chassis that a lot of people got with these, but he also designed the brass heirloom chassis that you went with, which was an absolute joy to install. But let's go over the outside of it first. You had me put on a leather wrap from Defcon Bird, so we've got that all on there for you. The main crystal, which is the one that's exposed, is the round quartz crystal that I showed you back in. I got this initially on December 15th, and you and I had talked about that. So this is the quartz that you and I talked about in there. This is a 2-button setup, so when you flip it over here, you have 2 tactile switches. Your front switch will be power, and your back, of course, will be auxiliary. All right. For now, this just has my sound font on it. There is a copy of the config file on the SD card, but I did a few things differently. So what I'm going to do is just remind me if I forget is I will send you the updated config through our PMs, all right, because I changed some things on here, and I'll explain to you what I did. But you have a Carl Chen B4 Neopixel connector in there. So I'll show you how all those light up. This brass greebly here is your blade retention, so we'll be going over that. And then how to get to your chassis, what you want to do is first come over here and loosen this greebly right here. All right, this brass greebly. You don't have to take it all the way out. Just loosen it, grab your handle, turn it clockwise until it stops, and then you want to pull it out. Now, it's tight in there, so just take your time, wiggle it through. If you find that this is a bit too tight for you, what you can do is you can take this shroud, this small shroud off, and this small one off, and you can sand the insides right here where the lip is for the handle. I don't find that I had to do that on this necessarily, but if you take this on and off over time, it should work itself out. But that is something that you can alternatively do to fix that if that becomes too much for you. All right, everything is a very snug fit on this Saber. So this is your chassis. Give you a close-up here. You've got a mix of some very cool brass and steel parts. So mainly brass here for the crystal chamber, but you'll notice your greeblies that are pointing towards your crystal are steel, I believe. Your brass piece of your chamber is held on to the main chassis by these knurled thumb screws, or they're not thumb screws, but these knurled little thingies right here that screw onto the threaded rod. All right, Tim did an excellent job of this chassis. I think this is one of the first chassis from Tim that I've got a chance to install. When I originally saw this chassis, I knew I wanted to put 2 crystals in here, top and bottom. So that's what you've got. You've got a small quartz up top with a larger one on the bottom. They are actually, it came from one double-sided quartz that I broke in half, and I put those in there. But I wanted to put 2 crystals in here. Of course, I wanted to put the main one in here because that's the main feature of the Saber. And there was plenty of wire room to do all of that. So I didn't have any trouble at all wiring this up. There was plenty of room underneath the board. Wires are hidden in the battery compartment, which is something I really appreciate. A 28mm Smuggler's Outpost Elite speaker. Everything just fit in here nice and snug, and I was able to wire it up with no problem. So it did make this a joy to install. All right, so what I did was I ran a single Neopixel accent for your main quartz crystal right here, and then coming down here, you have a single quartz or a single accent pixel for this bottom quartz, which is the bigger one, and then on the top one, which is the smaller one, there is a 9-pixel PCB right on top of that guy. All right, so what I did on the config, which is a little bit different from the one that's on the SD card, is I went back through and I broke that 9-pixel PCB into 3 different subblades. I added a little bit of red in there just to show you that there could be some different things going on if you wanted them to. All right, so you could simplify that and drop that down into one blade style that has 9 accents, or you could break it up into 9 subblades if you like. But just know that That is a 9-pixel accent PCB on top of that small guy. All right, so after all that, let's throw a battery in it. Spring side being your negative, even though it's a different type of spring, it's still a spring. So your spring side over here, we're going to throw our battery in, clips in, nice and tough, and it will stay in there for you. And then you've got a kill switch located right in front of the board. All right, so just flip your switch. We can zoom in on that, or focus in rather. Hopefully you can see a little bit of the different colors going on up top, although it is a green theme for the main blade, the main crystal, which is pulsing right now. And the crystal chambers, there is a touch of red up here just so that you could have a little something. All right, so we'll hit power. And that's really when I tried to make it shine through as well. So I've got that red blinking on and off while the main colors stay green. So everything matches there. Your main crystal goes solid. And then you could just, everything reacts to the auxiliary button being pressed. The PCBs lighting up in here nice and bright. Alright, so that is what the chamber looks like when you have the handle off of it. So very cool. I hope that you like the way that came out. And of course you can program that to do whatever you like. Alright, but when you're putting the handle back on, you've got that little J-lock system right here. Again, if I can focus in, you've got that little J-lock system right there on the handle. You just want to make sure that that opening right there is lined up with this brass greebly, because that is what locks the handle down. So you'll put this on, slide this in, and inside of there, make sure that it's lined up with that greebly. And then you can, when it's lined up and it's all the way in, it clips in, you can give it a twist counterclockwise and then come back over here and tighten your greebly. When you tighten this greebly, it locks everything down. All right, we'll go ahead and back this out of the blade socket a little bit. This saber is made for a 1-inch blade. Typically I use my TriStar blade, my TriStar test blade, but I have a pretty much full-length blade. This is a 27-inch Neopixel blade. We're going to lock it in and fire it up. So blaster bolt's just tapping auxiliary, right? Or if you want blade lock up, hold auxiliary down and hit the saber. I don't know if you can see on camera, but that lockup is right here. And when you go vertical with it, now it's right here. And it moves up and down the blade. And it's like that again. This saber is very loud. All right. This has one sound font on it for now. So if you did have multiple though, you would just tap auxiliary and it would go to the next sound font. So, but just the one for now. I know you like to do your own thing. That's a good flash. And then twist off. All right, so we'll go ahead and take this blade out. Pop it right out like that. Go ahead and tighten this back down. We're going to loosen this greebly again. Give our handle a clockwise turn and then pull it off. Remember, be very careful. If it's too tight, just wiggle it back and forth a little bit. You should be fine. We'll turn it on from here, and then we'll kill it from the power, or the kill switch back here, and it kills everything. All right, and then when you want to take the battery out, do it from the positive side by your crystal chamber. You could pop it out with your finger. But that is basically your Ocularis with brass heirloom chassis from Tierfon Orbital. Let me know if you have any questions, and I will get this out in the mail to you. It's Friday today, so it'll be first thing Monday morning. All right, thanks, man.